go. Okay, I'm all set, Bessie. Good. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I feel like I'm coming home to the Trinity MCC. You're always a special, special place to me. Reverend Renee for inviting me. I'm kind of returning the favor. She preached for Reverend Vicki and I when we were away in June. And so we wish Reverend Renee and Terry, I think it's their anniversary on this trip. And so we wish them our best. And thanks for showing up and being here. Pastor always feels good when people show up when they're gone. So I bring you greetings from Suncoast MCC in Venice. And November 3rd of this year, we're holding the inaugural, the very first Venice Pride ever held. We think there's too many people in the closet in Venice, Florida. Right before Election Day, we're having Venice Pride, and we're thankful that Church of the Trinity is a sponsor and going to have a booth, and we're so excited. We're also going to have a Pride Pet Parade there with rainbow bandanas for all pets who show up and wear them. So a little unique aspect of our little Pride in Venice. We're hosting it on our grounds at the church. And so we have a wonderful committee, and people from outside the church are becoming part and supporting. So we want to find our folks in Venice. So help us do that. Come and join us. We're really thankful for your love and support. We also praying for you as you search for your next pastor. Just trust God and each other as you really seek the person that God has already prepared for you today. Let us pray. God, we love you and bless you. We take a deep breath this morning and we thank you in amazement for that story of that first MCC service in Los Angeles, California, 50 years ago this coming Saturday. And we ask God that you would bless all those who are going to gather this coming Saturday in Los Angeles with Reverend Terry and so many, and celebrate that amazing event that changed the world. In Jesus' name, amen. So, 1968 was a year of terrible turmoil. Politically, in so many ways, the war was going on. There were assassinations, civil rights struggles. It was the year I graduated from high school. And it was the year that MCC started, sort of a spark of hope in a year of a lot of hopelessness and struggle. To be LGBT in those days was literally against the law. You could be arrested. It was considered a mental illness. And it was definitely considered by most churches in the world, all but a very few, a sin. Troy Perry was 28 years old. He was a defrocked gay clergy. He worked at Sears in Los Angeles, struggling to find himself in the still mostly underground LA gay community. Surviving a suicide attempt, he had a spiritual breakthrough and decided, unbelievably, to open his own home to the first 12 people who would celebrate the first service of metropolitan community churches. They used his coffee table in the living room for the altar. And this altar here is a descendant of that coffee table in Troy Perry's living room. And it was a church not just tolerating gay people, not just accepting, but empowering. For the first time in history, a church was started that was created by and for our community and our allies. And it was an insane thing to do in 1968. And Madeline was right to say, oh, we could all be arrested for this. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4, Paul talks about the ministry of the gospel of Jesus Christ, probably in the first 25 or 30 years of its life. A ministry that God chose to grow from very human earthly vessels. Paul says, we have this treasure, our message. We have Jesus, and we have to share it through very human vessels. People who are imperfect, communities who are imperfect and who experience opposition. Paul talked about the cost of being part of the dawn of that very first church. The persecution, suffering, struggles, human struggles. Paul himself was an imperfect vessel, argumentative at times, arrogant, a powerful preacher, hard to work with. But God chose him to go to the Gentiles. No one was more surprised than Paul that Jesus Christ met him on the road and called him to serve and lead. I would say Troy Perry may not have been the first person God called to start MCC, but he was the first person to say yes. And he knew that day, he said that small group of people who experienced communion together knew that something was happening that would change history and lives. Now, he only meant to start one little church in Los Angeles, but he set into motion something so needed that we are here today, 50 years later. Within a year, they would be in Time magazine. Churches would be starting in many other places. Paul said, "We do not lose heart, even though we don't really know what is ahead and what we may have to face." In the midst of afflictions, Paul said, God is always renewing us, always calling us forward so that the grace of God may extend to more and more people. MCC's story is a story of breaking silence, the story of people coming out of the shadows of invisibility and oppression to say, we are human. We are God's people. The first MCC church in Indianapolis, Indiana, at its first meeting in 1974, was raided by the police because it was not legal for homosexuals to assemble in Indiana in 1970. Because homosexuals were considered a criminal class, and so like thieves or others were not permitted to gather coffee. In the 70s, our churches were arsoned, pastors were murdered. There was the New Orleans fire in 1973. 32 people died, including 2 of our pastors. Then there were the 80s and 90s, HIV and AIDS, the challenges of human rights around the world, religious right opposition, marriage equality, and MCC at the heart and center of all these struggles. This church, Church of the Trinity, was born right at the moment that HIV and AIDS started to become visible. Within a few years, this brand new church was the hub of a community struggling to offer hope and unconditional love. You know that in the early days, this church, Church of the Trinity, couldn't really even afford to rent a room at the Unitarian Universalist Church. So the Unitarians offered Church of the Trinity the kitchen for $10 a week. So this church met early on in the kitchen of the Unitarian Church. I don't know if they stood or had chairs or what they did. I thought, well, that accounts for our love of food, I guess. Fort Perry's living room, a UU kitchen. MCCs have humble beginnings. God chose human beings to be keepers of the treasure of God's amazing grace. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail, and we start again. God is with us always, trying to help us to live up to our ideals. Sometimes it's the local church that struggles, sometimes our global movement struggles or falters, sometimes it's threats from the outside. God has been with us through it all for 50 years, and I don't believe God will stop. Not. Our treasure, our legacy, this human story of how God worked through people who may have thought that they could never be accepted by God or by the church. Troy said, this gospel, this message we preach, has 3 parts. In the very earliest days of the church, he preached a 3-part gospel: salvation, community, and Christian social action, we might call justice today. Salvation, I think of as connection to God, our sense of belonging to God, our truest selves. Troy's first sermon was called Be True to You, that God loves us just the way we are. I found MCC in 1972, so I am a true relic of MCC. It was now 46 years. I just graduated from college. I was 22 years old, on my way to seminary in Boston. I had only come out a few months before, and in my third week of seminary, one evening, I heard about MCC on a new radio show called Gateway Radio. First gay radio show in the country. And there was a man who was starting an MCC in Boston, and he said these words: if there's a woman out there, preferably one in seminary, please call me at this number. So I took down the number, I called him, met him the next day, and he told me the story of MCC. That next Sunday, he introduced me as the new assistant pastor. I already had more seminary education than any woman in MCC, probably by that time, and only started letting women go to seminary. The next Sunday I preached. The next Sunday I did communion. I came out of seminary, I left the Methodist Church, and a month later we were on the front page of the Boston Globe. I fell out of the closet into MCC in its fourth year, in its 23rd church in Boston, and never looked back. Right from the beginning, as sometimes young people do, I knew this was where I would spend my life. I cannot imagine having done anything else in these last 46 years. Being part of seeing history, seeing lives saved and changed. My salvation has been to have been part of this amazing journey, which I helped to shape and which shaped me. To save lives, heal broken hearts, create beloved community, to stand up for a Jesus of radical love, to stand up against hate, against the forces of oppression. And then, a few months after I was pastoring with Larry at MCC Boston, one night, one evening, as we began to do communion, a young man ran up from the congregation, knocked over the communion elements, punched me in the face, and ran out of the church before anyone could stop him. Now, I reeled back, but I didn't fall down. Larry set up the rest of the communion, and we went on with the service. When it came time to serve, we were all kind of teary and I suppose in shock, but that punch, that slap, kind of helped me understand what we were up against. That this was not always going to be an easy journey. That there would be lots of opposition. Salvation and community. Community, you say, is our real name. Troy Perry knew that what we needed was community. A substitution for many of us for family that would be home for us. And what Troy Perry is uniquely suited for this. I say he was a self-relieving machine. In a time where the community was uncertain and had low self-esteem, he would say things. You came up to him and he'd say, "How good looking?" Now you knew that meant he didn't remember your name, but because he called you good looking, that was so wonderful that you just instantly forgave him and you just basked in it. Hey, good looking, how are you doing? He knew we would deserve to have dignity. We deserve to have our own spaces. We deserve to have marriage. He believed that from the first year of MCC. He said, we're going to have marriage. And they purchased the first building in 1971. It was this building at 22nd and Union in Los Angeles, and it was full of trash. And that congregation set about removing trash cans and painted and redid it, rebuilt that place, repaired it, and made it gorgeous. They had a dedication. There's a film that exists about that dedication. You ought to rent it sometime. It's just amazing to see 1971. Troy had confidence that we could do anything we put our minds to, and we learned to believe that. We believed what he said about us, that we were not only good looking, but we could change the world. There's a story about when they moved into that new building a couple of weeks later. Everyone was kind of dressing up because this is new building. It was really nice. So they weren't just wearing jeans to church. People dressed up a little more. And one day, a young man came to church, and he was dressed in hot pants. Some of you remember what hot pants were. And that means not a lot of pants, hot pants. And, he had flip-flops, no shirt, and so he came in, and the deacon was all distressed, and went Reverend Perry, what do we do? What do we do? And Reverend Perry looked at him and said, you know what goes in and show the seat. There was this sense he had to show love. Even the people who show up in ways you think they shouldn't show up, but he did. 2 years later, that church was burned to the ground by arson. And the next Sunday, over 1,000 people worshiped out in the streets. Reverend Willie Smith, who had been Troy Perry's roommate, said, the closet has burned down. We are out in the streets today. That first Sunday, there was an offering of $3.18. That's not even $1 a person. That's barely a quarter a person, or something like that. Today, MCCs around the world collectively own hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property, including this beautiful sanctuary and land, an award-winning, architectural award-winning church building in Washington, D.C., a new facility for the MCC in Cuba, and we know that your ministry in Uganda touches the lives of so many people as MCC makes its way into Uganda and in Kenya. We now own 2 acres of land with our Global Justice Institute helping those with HIV and AIDS, women who've been forced into prostitution and their children, and they are now growing fruit and vegetables and food. They have a farm to be able to really grow as a community. 50 years from Cuba and Uganda and Kenya and Latin America, all over the world. Treasures of salvation, community, and social action. You know, from the beginning, doing justice was part of the calling of MCC. In 1969, Reverend Troy Perry got arrested in front of the police station in Los Angeles protesting police brutality, and he was on the front page of the paper. And because the board of directors were a group of men who were about 20 or 30 years older than Troy and very deeply closeted still, they fired him. Then the congregation met and they fired the board. But what was fascinating was that Troy, at age 29, said, well, now you're going to vote to reinstate them. Because we're all on a learning curve. We're all learning about what it means to be. And they were frightened. They were worried, and they learned some things. We've all learned some things. Let's move on. And that group of board of directors actually became the first board of elders of MCC. So there we are. And then there was that, you may have heard that No on 6 campaign in California. In California, in 1977, there was a referendum on the ballot that said you could be fired as a teacher in California if you were gay, or if you even supported the idea of gay teachers in California. Now, there had just been a national LGBT leadership meeting that Troy Perry was a part of. It said, we can't afford to fight 50 states and battles in all these different states. We just want to focus on the national agenda, pass a national civil rights bill, and that's the way to go. But Troy, who loved California, began to be very unsettled. He said, this is a terrible thing in California. If this goes in California, we will lose the fight for a generation. And so wrestling and feeling for and his loyalty to the national group, but his deep feeling that God was calling him, he took a different path. And one morning, when we were in the middle of an elders meeting in Los Angeles, my first or second elders meeting, I was 26 years old, he took a sleeping bag down to the steps of the federal building and said, I'm going to fast and sleep here until we raise $100,000 to fund fighting this referendum in California. And so there we were, the rest of us, we had to help raise $100,000, which was like $1 million in those days, 1977. Now what happened was, we raised that money, and it funded the first ever political poll ever done professionally on LGBT rights. Ever done. First one. And what it did was it helped them have a strategy, because of course the poll was terrible. It said we were going to lose. But it helped a group of people shape the strategy for winning in California. And getting everyone from Governor Ronald Reagan Hollywood, other movie stars, and changing public opinion, they won the victory, the No on 6 campaign in California in 1977. It showed us what we could do. And the national leadership that was furious with him at first really saw and understood the power of winning this battle in California. And Troy's courage helped develop a new generation of leaders that would change the world. When I found MCC, I found freedom to think and act. We still have that freedom to think and act and set an open table and see where God can take us. MCC in the world is still a tiny but disruptive force. We are a spark of freedom in a world looking for an authentic spirituality, looking for a God of radical inclusion. God brought us into being to right wrongs, to find the outcast, to be a force for justice, not just for ourselves, but for all people. It's in our DNA. So Church of the Trinity this week is also your 50th anniversary, when nobody conceived that there would be an MCC church in Sarasota, Florida. Many of you are old enough to remember where you were 50 years ago, and how the world was then, and what we even thought might be possible. Because of God's treasure in earthen vessels, we are here today. Today we pray for our churches, our denomination, our upcoming process to elect a new moderator for MCC, your process to elect a new pastor. But let us rise up in this 50th year and recommit ourselves to the vision of a radically open church for all people. Let us pray. God, we love you and bless you. We are so inspired by a little worship service in a pink house in Los Angeles, California, where people took a chance on you, God, and took a chance that if they stepped forward, they could change the world with your help. Help us to continue to do that in these very challenging times. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.